remember a particular khutbah in Alexandria where I was learning Arabic. And after the khutbah, I was like, wait, I actually understood like 80% of it. But I remember that khutbah as that turning point where I was like, wow, I actually understand now. Once you have Arabic, the rest is going to be a whole different experience. And as I said, how many times I'm going through something and I go to the masjid, I pray behind the imam. Only that was a whole lesson that I attended. The prayer was a lesson to me. The best way to revise vocabulary is by doing what the Arab did, which is Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulillah, ma ba'du. First of all, thank you guys for coming. And at the same time, I would say that it's such a blessing and it's definitely a fadl. And you guys have been chosen to be here. From all the things that you could be doing right now, Allah chose you to be in a gathering where hopefully beneficial knowledge is shared, with brothers next to you. And so, as the Prophet ﷺ told us about the benefits and the barakah that there is in sittings of knowledge, where the angels lower their wings upon anyone that is in a gathering of knowledge. So I thank you first of all for even considering listening to me and hearing what I have to say. And second of all, I ask Allah to put the barakah in this action that you guys are doing. And the barakah, as many scholars describe it, is the continuously doing the thing. That's when you know that you are Mubarak, inshallah. If you constantly see yourself in the masajid, if you constantly see yourself in gatherings of knowledge, it's such a fadl, such a virtue. So know that you are, perhaps some of you, I see some of you are young, perhaps your father just brought you here, perhaps you've been forced to come, whatever it might be, or perhaps you grew in this community. Know that you have been blessed. The world is a cold place, is a dirty place, is a bad place. So know that you have been chosen by Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is from amongst the best things that you can be doing. As Imam Shafi'i, he said that talab al-ilm is better than the nafila prayer. Seeking knowledge is better than doing extra, non-obligatory prayers. So it's better for you to spend the whole night seeking knowledge, studying about Allah Azza wa Jal, whether it's Qur'an, whether it's Hadith, whether it's Arabic, that will allow you to then access it directly, then praying the whole night. So that's in regards of the muqaddimah, in regards of the introduction. Second of all, I want to say, brothers, I ain't no sheikh. I'm your brother in Islam. I was born and raised in Barcelona, Spain. My parents were, Muslim when I was born. My mom, she accepted Islam 14 years after getting married to my father. My father's Senegalese. He came to Spain as an immigrant to seek rizq, to seek, job and so on. So he met my mom, and so my mom was Christian at the time, Catholic. And she accepted Islam 14 years after being married to my father. Then my mom had me when she was 45 years old. So I am the last of 5 children. My father had other families, so we are all 9 together. And so I was born and raised in Barcelona, grew up as a, I don't even know how to put it, as a knucklehead, as a crazy youth, and wasn't practicing Islam. I wasn't even praying. My father forced me to go to the mosque on Saturdays. I remember going to this mosque in Spain, seeing these Pakistani teachers that I had at that time. They were teaching me alif, ba, ta, tha. And to be honest, I didn't like it. I didn't understand why I was there. I didn't know why my father brings me to the mosque. I didn't know why do I have to learn these alif, ba, ta, tha things. I don't know. Like, what is all this about? And my father used to blackmail me. Say, if you go, I'll give you this after the dars. And so, obviously, and it didn't I guess he had some benefit, and Allahu Alam what the wisdom is. I am able to right now sit here with you guys and remind you about this and explain this story to you, but at that time, it didn't make sense to me, and perhaps if it was introduced in a different way, it would have been more beneficial. And I want you guys to remember this point about me being forced to go to the masjid, because I will come back to it later on. So later on, I grew up, just playing basketball. I started playing basketball at 9 years old. I then did some skateboard, I did some graffiti, I did some, I even at one point I became the most prominent dancer in the whole Europe in 2009. I won a battle in Düsseldorf in Germany. So that's where we were at. I'm talking about no Islam at all. Now when I moved to France, because my father moved from Spain to France to look for some jobs, I basically realized that the youth in Spain, they were more in France, they were more connected to Islam, and they had a better pride for Islam. So they used to ask me, "Oh, you Muslim?" They hear my name, Mamadou. That's my government name. That's the name that my father gave me, Mamadou. Obviously, right now I go by Muhammad because that's what technically is Mamadou. But in West Africa, they pronounce it in that way. And so they would be surprised because they looked at me and they would say, how is this, as they call it, light-skinned person, this light-skinned black person called Mamadou? Because Mamadou is the typical dark-skinned person in Senegal. It's like saying Michael and you look like a Abdurrahman. Like, it doesn't make no sense. And so they would say to me, "How is your name, Mamadou? Oh, you Senegalese. Oh, so you Muslim. Oh, okay, so you pray. Oh, so you eat halal. Oh, so..." And all of these questions to me, I come from Spain. In Spain, nobody asked me these questions. So it was a pressure. I was like, yeah, I guess I'm Muslim. I don't know. My parents are. And now I'm seeing young people at school, those popular kids, and they are talking about Islam. They ask me about Islam. They might even mock you if you don't know about Islam. Like, you don't even know your religion, bro. Like, what you want? So all of that started to put me in a situation where it was like, oh, Islam is not just the religion of my parents that they forced me to do, and that they forced me to go to this masjid and be there for 3-4 hours with these uncles that are hitting me with rulers in my hands if I don't pronounce or I don't memorize correctly Arabic alphabet. So it started to look more like something of interest. So one thing led to another. Every experience, every time somebody asked me about Islam, every time something happened related to Islam, I will keep it in the back of my head. It was a point of interest that stayed in my head. Until at one point, as I said, I used to be involved into this dancing stuff in Germany. It was in France, but we used to travel all around. And one of the guys that we used to always be with, he just disappeared for long months. He was Senegalese as well, actually. And once I saw him in the street, and he was wearing a white thobe. At that time, to me, I wasn't foreign to white thobes, but it was just odd to see somebody who I met in a environment that was not Islamic to now wear a thobe. So I said, what's going on with you, man? All these years, all these months, I didn't see you. He said, no, now I'm a practicing Muslim. I don't do this stuff anymore. I don't dance anymore, that. And he invited me to his house. So I went to his house. His mama made us some food. I was sitting with him, and he was, as of now, I know, he was giving me dawah. At that time, I was just like, I'm just, hooking up with somebody that I know. And he started showing me videos of students in Medina University. So now and perhaps some of you guys seen this video. If you go right now and type Roadside to Islam, Medina University tour, you will see that video. It will probably say, 15 years ago or something like that. And so I was watching that video, and I seen in those people that I saw in the video, youth, black, they had the hip-hop culture. I can see the way they talk. I can see the way they move. I identify with them. As I said in the beginning, and I said, keep that point in the back of your head. When I used to go to the masjid, how can I identify to know Moroccan uncles, to know Pakistani uncles who are hitting me with rules if I don't say alif ba ta tha correctly? Now, when I saw all of these kids outside of Spain that were like me, they come from the urban culture and so on, I then started to feel more proud of my father at that time religion, right? Because my father used to force me, you just have to do this, you have to pray. But why? Yeah, Abi, why, my father? You just have to do, you want to go paradise, you have to do it. At that time, it don't make no sense to me. Which means, well, why paradise? What is the proof that paradise is true? What is the... And so you're doing things without understanding. Now, long story short, this brother brought me to his local masjid. I met some brothers. I started to learn. I attended durus. I attended classes in that masjid. I did my first class of how to recite Surah Al-Fatiha correctly. I met some brother. He told me about a intensive course in Egypt to learn the Arabic language. And at that time, I was so hyped about learning new things. It was a dopamine release. Every time I would learn something new, it was like a aha moment. Like, oh, that makes sense now. My father said this. Oh, that makes sense now. Oh. And I started to become a little bit more wise. And the more you understand, the more you realize how much you don't understand. So I decided to go to Egypt. I was in France at this time. I went back to Spain. I told my parents, I want to go to Egypt. I want to learn Arabic. I met these brothers, that. Obviously, my parents, they already thinking, this little boy, he got on some extreme group of these. They brainwashed him. Now he want to go Egypt. He doesn't want to play basketball anymore. He doesn't want to go NBA anymore. What is going on with this kid? But my father, he spoke to some sheikh close to our family, and he said, yeah, let him go. I think it's a good thing. So long story short, I went to Egypt, and the rest is history. As soon as I started tasting the taste of knowledge, as I said earlier, I was like, I need to live this lifestyle. Because truly, seeking knowledge, it is a lifestyle. Rather, being a Muslim, it is a lifestyle. And seeking knowledge is part of being a Muslim. As the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. That seeking knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim. And in another riwayah, in another report, he says, وَمُسْلِمَةً, and for a Muslim woman as well. So this is my story. And as you guys can see, I wasn't raised in no household where everybody is a hafiz, all the brothers have memorized the Qur'an, the father is a big sheikh, and he studied, but rather I had to find my path, find my way, be interested, ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide me more. I remember even at one point, I don't even think growing up, I even believed in Allah Azza wa Jal, wal-iyadhu billah, because I remember making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, saying things like, if you really exist, then show me this. A few weeks later, something will happen. And my mind, as soon as that happens, straight away goes to that moment, to that dua that I made. I remember as well, at one point, I had a dream. It was a abandoned building, and I was running in the building as if he was searching for something lost. And I went up the stairs. I'm scared in the dream, and I went all the way to the top of the building, and I saw a man holding a Qur'an. And it was as if I was telling the men, you are going to die. And that man was so calm, so in peace, like somebody who already knows exactly what's going to happen. And he said, I don't mind dying, I already know where I'm going. And until today, this has been like 11, 12 years, and I still remember these type of dreams. And I know that Allah Azza wa Jal sometimes, He always talks to you in different ways. Sometimes He might talk to you through somebody. Sometimes He might talk to you through a dream. Sometimes He might talk to you through an experience. And so these are some of the, the points that I wanted to make you guys realize. So you guys understand that I am not, that's what I mean by I'm not a sheikh. I'm just like you guys, trying to learn, trying to become a better Muslim, trying to stay on the path, which is the most important thing. The Arabic that I had learned in these 3 years made it different. The Arabic that I had learned in these 3 years made it in a way that now when I go for that one time when I feel that my iman is high after being hit with a hook. Perhaps I need to stop using these expressions. As young kids here, they might not understand. I might be hit with a hook, now my iman is low. I don't want to pray that much. I'm tired, maybe Shaytan giving me wiswas. So now, from one time that I go to the masjid, I hear one ayah. Allah Azza wa Jalla might say, the ayah that we just read about those who, when the revelation is descended, the iman goes up. And you understand it as it's being recited to you. If I didn't know Arabic, I would feel like, I got to go to the masjid for this one time. I don't feel good about myself. Let me go to the masjid. You stand behind the imam reads. That's it. You leave. It's almost like you just went to a workout. You didn't get, your heart has not been touched. You didn't feel no fa'idah, no benefit from what the imam has read. And so this is why I am such an advocate, and I am a big believer. And it's not something that that I believe, but as I'm going to mention right now, it's something that the Sahaba saw as important and obligatory for someone to know the Arabic language. But because it hit me and it protected me so much, I am so passionate about it. And I'm so passionate to let people know and make them realize how much Arabic is going to be of an importance in their life. More than memorizing the Qur'an, yes. More than memorizing the Qur'an, more than reading translations of ahadith every day, and continue to practice a diluted version of Islam, a translated version of Islam. So the Sahaba, they saw the Arabic language as being part of the religion. To the point where Umar ibn al-Khattab, he once wrote to Abu Ayyub al-Ansari to tell him about, advise him on what to do as a governor of al-Basra while Umar ibn al-Khattab was a Khalifa. And he told him that I commend you, as I commended you before, to follow the Qur'an, to follow the Sunnah, to put importance into learning al-fiqh, وَالتَّفَهُّمْ بِالْعَرَبِيَّةِ, or وَتَفَهُّمْ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ, and to understand and seek understanding and deepen your understanding of the Arabic language. And he's talking to a governor. He's talking to Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, one of the greats. So he, if there was somebody who needed that advice, it would be more the people than the actual governor himself. So the Sahaba, they saw the Arabic language as being part of the religion, to the point where Imam Malik, he said, لا أوتي برجل يفسر كتاب الله غير عالم بلغة العرب إلا جعلته نكالا. And Imam Malik, he said, if they bring me a man who talks and tries to explain and interpret the Qur'an and he doesn't know the Arabic language, I will harshly punish him. These are Imam Malik. This, you could say, he's a sheikh. Yeah, he will put hands on you if you try and talk about the Qur'an when you don't even know Arabic. Likewise, later on in the Khilafah of Umar ibn al-Khattab, there was a situation where there was an Arabi, an Arab person that came from the Bedouins, that came from outside of Medina, and he said, Man yuqri'uni al-Qur'an. He said, who can read some of, or man yuqri'uni mimma unzila ala Muhammad. Who can read something to me from the thing that you guys, that everybody is hyped about, that has been descended to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that has been revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And a person, an Arabi in that time, he read to him this ayah. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ بَرِيءٌ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَرَسُولِهِ. And he made a mistake in grammar. Instead of saying وَرَسُولُهُ, he said وَرَسُولِهِ. Now if you read it like this, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ بَرِيءٌ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَرَسُولِهِ, you're saying that Allah He frees himself from the polytheist people, those idol worshippers, and his prophet. So the Arabi is his language. The Qur'an is the language. Qur'an has been descended in the language, as it was reported, بِلَحْنِ Quraysh, in the language of Quraysh. It's his language. He understands what he is being recited to him. So he said, wait, Allah is freeing himself from the mushrikeen, the polytheists, and his prophet. He said, I free myself as well from the polytheists and his prophet. So this situation reached Umar ibn al-Khattab. So Umar ibn al-Khattab, he asked this Arabi to come to him, and he said, what's the situation? He said, the Arabi, he repeated, I asked somebody to read the Qur'an to me. They read, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ بَرِيءٌ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَرَسُولِهِ. So therefore, I said, I free myself from the polytheists and the mushrikeen. Omar, he corrected him. He said, that's not how the ayah is read. It's وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ بَرِيءٌ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَرَسُولُهُ. I.e., Allah is free from the polytheist, and likewise the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is free from them. So he said, okay, I understand. And then Umar, he commended the people that he was ruling, i.e. the Muslims, to not read the Qur'an if you don't know the Arabic language. To not read the Qur'an if you don't know the Arabic language. Does this mean you don't have to read the Qur'an today? It doesn't mean that. At that time, the Qur'an wasn't in a book that you can read and not make a mistake because you're looking at it. It was most of the times memorized by the Sahaba, most of the times memorized by the people. Some people, they had written it in papers, in wood. So it wasn't compiled yet. He said, nobody reads the Qur'an if you don't know Arabic. And then he commended Abu al-Aswad al-Duwali to put the rules of grammar. To put the rules of grammar. And he was the first one to put the rules of grammar, to put dots on Arabic words, on Arabic letters. Right now, people are concerned about how to read Arabic without harakat. The Arabs, they didn't have harakat and they didn't have dots either. And so, all of this to say that the Sahaba, the early generations of Muslims, they saw the Arabic language as being part of the religion. And they saw it as the first door to even you going into Qur'an, to even you going into Hadith, to even you going into all of these different fields that we now know as fields, al-Aqeedah, al-Fiqh, usul al-Fiqh, and all of these things that when somebody starts practicing things, I'm going to learn now. I want to seek knowledge now. What should I start with? Aqeedah, this, that. No, my brother, you need to start with Arabic. Once you have Arabic, the rest is going to be a whole different experience. And as I said, how many times I'm going through something, and I go to the masjid, I pray behind the imam. Only that was a whole lesson that I attended. The prayer was a lesson to me. And so it allows you to be constantly reminded. وَأَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Isn't with the remembrance of Allah that the hearts find peace, as Allah says in the Qur'an, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And remind, O Prophet, the people, because the reminder benefits the believer, as Allah says in the Qur'an. And so this is the whole point of being a Muslim. The Qur'an has been descended for that, for tadabbur, to ponder on, not just to read it, not just to memorize it. How many people have memorized the whole Qur'an? You can't even tell me what you read it. What's the point? You spent 4 years. You can't even tell me what you read it. When it's reported that Umar, he memorized Surah Al-Baqarah in 8 to 10 years. Because they wouldn't go to the next ayah, except that they understood the ayah that they just memorized and they worked and act upon it. And so the Arabic language nowadays, it has become something secondary, something that is cool to have. It would be nice to know Arabic for most Muslims. And as Muslims, if we take our children, like my father used to do something and actually spend time learning something beneficial, it should be the Arabic language. Instead of just taking a child, he doesn't understand nothing, alif, ba, ta, tha, with Moroccan uncles, Pakistani uncles, people that he can identify with because he grew up in this country. In this case, for me, it was Spain. And for somebody else, it might be somewhere else. But most of the times, especially in Spain, people come from outside. So even them, they don't even speak Spanish. So I couldn't even speak to them. I didn't feel identified. I didn't know what I was doing there. Sometimes I remember the first few times I was even crying for my father to not take me there. And so the Arabic language is that important. And this is why someone should learn it. Who is the youngest here? You guys would say. You guys know each other?
Sitting in front of you guys.
How old are you? 9? You're 9? You're 9. That's my age when my father was grabbing me and bringing me to the mosque to memorize Alif Ba Ta Tha. You know Alif Ba Ta Tha? You know? Can you recite Surah Al-Fatiha as well? Yeah. Khalas, you're better than me at that time then. Me, I was running away so my father doesn't bring me to the masjid. So now the question is, most Muslims, they don't even need to be, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the phrase? Who knows Arabic here? Aqna'ahu. Convince. You don't even need to be convinced as a Muslim to learn Arabic. I'm pretty sure, raise your hand if you don't think that you should learn Arabic and it will benefit you and your iman. Raise your hand. Okay, you guys paying attention, mashallah. That was the trick to see who would raise his hand. Yeah, I don't believe you need to learn Arabic. I was expecting someone to do that. So most of the times, it's something that most people don't speak about. The thing that stops you from learning the Arabic language, most of the times is yourself. Not most of the time, all the time is yourself. And so there's something I like to call self-optimization. Self-optimization. And it's related with self-development, self-growth, discipline, self-discipline. And as I like to call it as well, being able to grab your nafs by his neck or by its neck. And I literally look at it as his. I look at it as a he. When I wake up in the morning, I know I have 2 enemies. When I wake up in the morning, I have 2 enemies. First one is your nafs. An-nafs al-ammara bis-su. Is your own soul. You need to imagine it as a little child in your body that likes things that don't benefit you and thrive off things that are not beneficial for you. For example, junk food, social media, Instagram scrolling, TikTok scrolling. Some people, they might be tested with worse things like music. You want to know what's going on in the music world, these, that. Some other people might not be haram, but it might not be beneficial. Some brothers, they just wasting time with some anime stuff. Like, you're a grown man, brother. You doing this whole anime, watching for 4, 5, 6 hours, all these episodes of this anime. The point is, your nafs will want those things that don't benefit you. The things that in your akhirah will not be of benefit. That's what your nafs wants. Your aql, your intellect, is what brought you here today. And you need to imagine it as a grown man in your body who knows what's good for you. And they constantly arguing with the nafs. No, we're not gonna eat junk food because tomorrow I will feel sluggish in the morning. That's what the intellect says. Then the nafs goes, no, but I really feel like I want some. Come on, man, please, come on, please. That's your nafs inside. All that feeling that you feel like you want to do something, you know it's not good for you. Or you want to do it, but it's not good for you. You want to do it, it's not good for you. That's your intellect and your nafs arguing. Now what happens is that if you give the command with your brain and you tell your intellect, you know what, let's let our nafs win for this time. Let's give it what it wants. Come on, let's go eat something that we shouldn't be eating. Let's go watch something that we shouldn't be watching. Let's go somewhere that we shouldn't be at. And that our intellect knows we shouldn't do. And then what happens is that nafs gains confidence. Say, oh, I can get the intellect to listen to me sometimes. You know what? Next time I'm gonna ask again. Now your nafs, next time it comes to a situation, you get an impulse to do something you know, your intellect knows you shouldn't be doing because it's not benefiting the thing that you want to do. Learn the Arabic language, be a better Muslim, go to the masjid, whatever it might be. Now your nafs tries again, just like a child. You give him something once, he remembers. Oh, he gave it to me once, let me try again. So now, again, the nafs is a little bit more powerful, more confident. Now it raises its voice a little bit higher against the intellect. And now the intellect, if you again give the command, now the intellect becomes weaker. Because you as the leader of your body, you're giving your intellect the power or you're giving your nafs the power. Now if you decide to give your nafs the power, now your nafs becomes bigger than your intellect. And that's when it becomes dangerous. And as Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Qur'an, أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Did you see that person that took his passions and desires and impulses as his idol? Have you seen that person that took his desires and those impulses that the nafs is asking you to do every time as his idol? Now it becomes your Lord. The actual desire is your Lord for that person that's misguided. And so what happens is that he is worshiping his desires. Anything the nafs asks for, I give it to. I want to go to this place that I shouldn't be at, I go. I want to watch this thing for 15 hours, which I shouldn't be watching, and be tired for 3 days, and not be able to be efficient in anything in life, I do it. I want to, whatever it might be that you know you shouldn't be doing, other than following the Qur'an, the Sunnah, with the understanding of the Sahaba. And so that's what happens internally. And the worst situation where you can be at is where you start giving your desires the rank and the grade of an idol, a god. And this is why you will see from those who are super far away from Allah Azza wa Jalla and from the fear of Allah, they do whatever they want. And that's why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إِن لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If you don't feel some sort of shyness, even for yourself, like you're not even ashamed of yourself, sitting down 15 hours watching anime as a grown man. You don't feel no shame. People saying, what did you do last 15 hours? Oh, I was watching anime. Like you, and you just say that like you're not a grown man with a full beard, maybe even a coming up beard. And so if you're not ashamed of yourself, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فَصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. Do whatever you want, because there's no point. You're just like, Prophet ﷺ didn't say this, that's the hadith, but I add, you're pretty much like an animal, like Baha'im. They do whatever they want. They don't have no sense of intellect, no nothing. And so the Muslim that's intellectual, that knows how to use his intellect for his growth, he applies this ayah where Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Allah says, the one who fears the day he will stand in front of his Lord and is able to grab and control his hawa, his desires, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Then therefore, Jannah will be his final destination and place where he is going to be living. Al-Ma'wa, where you are going to be living. So as you can see, Allah Azza wa Jal in our religion puts a big emphasis on controlling your nafs. And again, you gotta imagine your nafs in the morning, you wake up, as soon as you're feeling a little sluggish, lazy to do this, that, you need to imagine it as your nafs. You need to grab it. You need to take control of it. As soon as you give it a little bit of control over you, it will take over. And you will become its slave. So you need to be a powerful Muslim that takes control of his desires. That's the first unlock to discipline. Now, after you know this, you need to understand that your second enemy, we said the first enemy is who? Your first enemy. Who's the first enemy? Your soul. Jazakallah khairan. Your first enemy is your soul. Second enemy, Shaytan al-Rajim. Shaytan is the one that will go to your nafs and tell it, oh, look at this, look how nice this looks. Look at that, why don't you go and do this? And Shaytan, his intention is to basically misguide you and to not tell you anything that will benefit your akhirah, your hereafter. And so that's his whole job. That is his full-time job. He doesn't have anything else to do. So this is your second enemy. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Qur'an, Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Qur'an about Shaytan, فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Now, he says that Shaytan is your, as he was talking to Adam alayhi salam, he said, this is your enemy. So take him as an enemy. Allah could have just said, this is your enemy, and stop. But rather he emphasized, so take him as an enemy. I.e., do the action of taking someone as an enemy. Now here in Australia, you guys are pretty much, from what I've seen so far, is quite safe, to be honest. Except for the other day when I was walking around downtown Melbourne, I thought these brothers were about to jump me. It was like 5 or 6 brothers about to looking at me, and then you say, yeah, and then you say, I feel safe, khalas. I say, oh, khalas, they're not gonna jump me there. That's my brothers. But in other places in the world where we have grown up, I grew up in a neighborhood where there was a gang called Latin Kings. I wasn't gang affiliated. I was very busy with basketball and this and that. But living in the neighborhood, you are a target already. Because when you go to another neighborhood, I remember once we were walking in another neighborhood, and my friend, he was wearing black and red Air Forces. And a few guys came to us, and they asked us what neighborhood we're from, and if we were gang affiliated, basically. We said, no, we're not Dominican, we're not Latino, we're African, because we look Latino. And that's a gang, that's some beef that they got going on, Latinos in there in Spain. So that's what kind of saved us. But to say that if you're from a neighborhood, and what I meant to say is that they asked us what neighborhood we were from. And so just being from that neighborhood at that time, it was just dangerous already. You don't have to even be gang affiliated. And what I'm trying to say with this is that these people, these gang members and so on, they live a life of stress. They always looking for ups. They always getting up, they looking, they thinking, if I go this place, what time is it? Am I going to see anybody that I don't have to see? Is it going to be dangerous for me, this, that? And that's a state that a Muslim should be with Shaytan. Shaytan is your ongoing opposition. You are in continuous war with Shaytan. As soon as you open your eyes, he's looking at you already. He's thinking, where's he going to go? How can I set him up? How can we jump him? How can we make him misguided today a little bit closer to kufr, a little bit closer to sinning? If we can make him fall into kufr, maybe we can make him sin. If we can make him sin, maybe we can make him just waste his time. We need to do something. Let me try and do some wiswas to its nafs. See how weak his nafs is. So we can perhaps misguide him a little bit today. So you have 2 ups. What is an up? What's an up? An enemy. An enemy. So who's your 2 enemies? Shaytan and your soul. That's your 2 enemies. Going back to the question, why haven't you started learning Arabic? Because of your 2 ups. They all upon your case, my brother. And so what happens is that These two things, beings, whatever you want to call it, they continuously work to make you not do the things that will get you closer to Allah. If they can make you fall into kufr and make you become a non-Muslim, they will try and make you sin from the great sins. Try and make you fall into great sins. It can make you do great sins, then perhaps just little sins, little habits that you do on a day-to-day basis. Perhaps one day he will do something greater. That's fine with them as well. If they can make you do this, then they will make you waste your time. Or argue with a Muslim brother. Or something that might not be 100% haram or a sin. It just happens. That's how life is. He might make you do that. Just do not allow you, or to help in not allowing you to start the thing. So this is the first thing. This is what discipline is, explained in a animated, entertaining way. Hopefully it did make sense. Did it reach the point? Did it reach the point? Are you guys sleeping? Come on, man. Raise your hand if you reach the point, please. Jazakumullah khair, I appreciate it. So that's your two enemies. Discipline, ya ikhwani, discipline. If today, if we don't see each other again in this dunya, I want you to live with something. Discipline is what you need, and I call it discipline because that's an English term that's easy to remember and so on. Of course, Allah Azza wa Jal talks in the Qur'an is وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. Allah expresses it as containing and taking control of your nafs. So it's pretty much the same thing. But discipline is the most impactful thing you can, as a Muslim, take of a lifestyle that will allow you to do anything you want to do in your life. I'm talking about becoming a better Muslim. I'm talking about starting a business and actually making it successful. I'm talking about becoming a pilot. I'm talking about achieving a career, whatever it might be. Discipline is the only skill required to accomplish any other skill. Discipline is the only skill required to accomplish any other skill. So most of the times, the reason why you haven't started is because you're just not disciplined. Your life is a fawda. A fawda is a chaos. It's a chaos. You're not in control of your nafs. You're not in control of your time. You're not in control of your schedule. You don't know. You cannot sit down for a little bit because you're a dopamine nerd or a dopamine addict. You can't sit down and not look at the phone for 2 minutes, which doesn't allow you to focus. And as experts say, it takes about 25 minutes to fall into focus mode. Who do you know nowadays that don't look at their phone within 25 minutes? And so all of these things, and I wish I could get more into the practicalities, and I mentioned the phone because that's pretty much the biggest discipline killer nowadays. But just to mention one of the practicalities, because all of this sounds very generic, very cliche. If you see that one thing is causing you to not be effective, for example, you say, man, I really have to work on this, right? And then you realize the phone is distracting you. There's something you can buy on Amazon. It's called a kitchen box or a phone blocker. You put your phone in it. You put a timer, 4 hours, for example. For these 4 hours, I'm going to focus on doing my homework. 4 hours, I'm going to focus on memorizing Qur'an. These 4 hours, I'm going to focus on learning Arabic, whatever it might be, or even searching, starting. You need to analyze what's the thing that's causing you to not be effective and that's distracting you, and stop that thing. Completely get rid of it. Sometimes it might not even be haram. Sometimes it might be certain companies that you shouldn't be with. Every time I go with these people, we go to somewhere and we start wasting our time, and I don't do it, but they bring opposite gender individuals, and then I find myself in an awkward situation, and it could be any type of situation. Whatever you see that is not helping, stop it completely. And do jam' al-ham, as the scholars they call it. They say that for you to achieve something, you need to do jam' al-ham. You need to take all your attention and put it into that thing. And know that if you want to accomplish one thing, you should stop any other thing. And that you cannot become a jack of all trades when you're starting to learn something. If you want to learn the Arabic language, just focus on the Arabic language. Stop memorization of the Qur'an. Stop, active, very heavy fiqh lessons. Stop any other thing. For me, if you want me to tell you about my experience, when I went to Egypt, I wanted to play basketball and at the same time seek knowledge and learn the Arabic language. And I was telling the brothers yesterday, I went to this basketball club in Alexandria, Egypt, and they even wanted to pay me. It was called Sidi Gabir. And I started going. After my lessons in the night. I would take the train and go to the workout. But in the morning, I will come super tired. In the night, I will come tired, and then I will sleep, and in the morning, I will be tired. So I wouldn't be able to wake up before Fajr, do my lessons, attend in a effective, efficient, productive way to the lesson. So I realized that I have to stop basketball if I really want to learn Arabic and seek knowledge. So sometimes you will have to step backwards 2 steps to jump forward 3 steps. If you want to learn the Arabic language, if something is stopping you right now, it might be some random book club that you attend every afternoon. Well, is this book club going to benefit my akhirah? Can I perhaps just stop it for 2 years so I can use this block of time after my job to actually learn the Arabic language? You need to be serious about it. You need to stop everything else and just focus on that thing. So, most of the times when you want to start something and you don't start it and you procrastinate year after year after year, or you start and you stop, it's because of this self-optimization. Your whole life is a chaos. And it might not be a great chaos, but it might be a small chaos in your mind. You perhaps sleep late every single day, so you're tired on a day-to-day basis, to the point where you can't even sit down for 2 hours and even focus on what this teacher is telling me. So it makes you, put off of learning. You just leave it until time gets better. But the problem that a lot of people have is that they try and find the perfect situation to start, but they don't realize that starting is the perfect situation. Sometimes it's fine to think for weeks and try and organize your life, but there needs to be a balance. A lot of people, they wait for the perfect time to start, but they don't realize that starting is the perfect time and is the perfect situation. Because once you start, you will realize what are the things that are actually distracting you, which will allow you to then get rid of this thing, get rid of that thing, move things around. Tell your family, look, I want to sleep very early now so I can wake up before Fajr and I can study before going to work and so on. And so you need to design your life for you to be productive. A very simple way, and it's a very bad example because I was stuck in the whole time, but a lot of people, they say, I need to drink more water. But in their working place, they don't have no water around. So they just focus, working. They don't drink no water. Now, a simple environmental design is take your bottle, put it right in front of your working place, and remove the tap, and put it by the mouse. You will see that as you're doing something and perhaps you're waiting for 2 seconds, your hand automatically will go and grab the water and drink it. So sometimes you have to do the same thing at a bigger scale. If you think that every time I get from my work, I get back home and I tell myself I have to study, but when I get home, I'm just tired and I don't know, my family have the TV on. So I just feel like, they greet me and I sit down. Next thing you know, I have just been sitting here for 2 hours watching TV. If you know that's the case, then do the same thing, the same example, environmental design with the water, but at a greater scale. In a way where you tell your family, for example, you know what, instead of coming directly from work to the house, I'm going to go to the library. So that way I can focus. And so you need to do this whole thing with your whole life. Organize your whole life. And I can tell you already, most of the times, from the experience that I have with the thousands of students that there has been in our Arabic Institute, is first of all, social media. Second of all, sleeping late and being absolutely tired on a day-to-day basis, really. Just walking around with a bunch of sleep debt. And third of all, is just doing things that are not going to benefit your akhirah. just random stuff. Like I said, the anime, the playing PlayStation for long hours, no sense of balance. Crying if they lose at 2K. Like you too invested into other things. If you really want to learn Arabic, you need to jam' al-ham, as we said, as the scholars mentioned it. You need to put all your attention on that thing only. So that's my advice, and I hope this was beneficial in regards of why you haven't started learning the Arabic language. And again, if we go to the beginning of it, I do believe, just like the Sahaba believed, that the Arabic language is the most powerful skill, that if you were to have any other skill, you're the greatest reciter, you are the most mutafaqqih, which you can't even be without Arabic, by the way, or you are the most knowledgeable of how many ayat there is in the Qur'an, how many pages, this, that. None of these skills will benefit you more than actually being well-grounded in the Arabic language. And just going to the masjid for a regular, on a regular Tuesday Salah, and the Salah itself is a reminder, is a continuous reminder. So the Arabic language, as Umar ibn Khattab said, تَعَلَّمُوا الْعَرَبِيَّةِ, as simple as that, learn the Arabic language, as Umar ibn Khattab said. It's something that I encourage you guys to do. And I believe that soon there's going to be in this masjid a program that you guys can start and stick to it until you guys finish it. And I hope that we'll come back next year or in 2 years, inshallah, and some of you will come up to me and will say, you remember that bonfire talk we said about Shaytan and the soul and all of these stuff you was talking about? Yeah, man, it made me start learning Arabic. And now, brother, I want you to say that to me in Arabic. Inshallah, bi'idhnillah. So may Allah bless us all and keep us upon this path and allow us to see what's haqq as haqq and follow it, and what's batil as batil and follow it, and allow us to be in full control of our nafs so we can accomplish whatever we want from this dunya. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. So the best way to revise vocabulary is by doing what the Arab did, which is speaking. The Arab, everything was sama'i, everything was by hearing it. They didn't write, and it was known amongst the Arab that they didn't write until later. And the Arabic language is a language that started as a I'm not sure of the term in English, I think it's phonetical, but basically sama'i is all by hearing it. You hear somebody say it, that's how you say it correctly. Khalas, I say it like this. And until now, in the Arab, they used to refer back to poetry, Arabic poetry. So if they don't know what this word means or how to use it, they will see in their memorization, or at that time they will ask Arabs directly if it's a correct word, if I should say it like this, if it's possible to say it like this with a dhamma, a fatha, whatever it might be. Now when it comes to remembering after you have memorized, the best way is by practice. Just like whatever other situation or field you might think of, like boxing, for example. How can I make sure that I keep my hands up after I throw a jab? By keep on doing the thing. Keep on, throwing a jab and letting your coach slap you in your face when you throw a jab. Same thing with, remember once somebody asked me, how can I do more push-ups? Oh, how many push-ups can you do right now? Just one. Okay, do one in the morning, one after dhuhr, one in the night. And tomorrow try and do two. If you can do two, then just continue doing one until you are able to do two. You can do two, do three. So repetition, there's nothing like it for any single thing. We are creatures of habit. We are creatures of habit. So we catch on habits, and sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. That's why the hikmah of Allah Azza wa Jal having made a month throughout the year, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jal in the Qur'an, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. O you who have believed, the siyam the fasting, the month of Ramadan has been prescribed upon you like it was prescribed on nations before you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So perhaps you become more righteous. So the goal is to take 30 days off of the year to perhaps become more righteous, i.e. drop bad habits that I have caught throughout the year and catch new habits, new good habits that I have, that I don't have and that I haven't caught or that perhaps I have lost throughout the year. And so we are creatures of habit, and from amongst the most, this is such a reminder that Allah Azza wa Jalla from His hikmah, He has created the Sharia, because nowadays modern scholars in the field of human behavior, they have said that on average it takes in between 21 to 60 days. Some say 21 to 30 days in order to catch a habit or drop a habit. So you see in the month of Ramadan, as Allah Azza wa Jalla, He gave us 30 days in the year. So perhaps we become more righteous. Perhaps we catch new habits. Perhaps we drop new habits. So we are creatures of habit, and if you want to do something better, you just have to do that thing and try and be as less distracted as possible from other things. So now if I want to speak better Arabic and make sure that I know all my rasid lughawi, all my vocabulary, like, the palm of my hand, I'm going to sit down and for 6 months, that's all I'm going to be focusing on. In a way where if somebody bumps into me in the street and you haven't seen for a few months, the first thing they say how you doing, man? It's been a long time. What are you up to? First thing that comes to your mind is, I'm just trying to get my vocabulary, in the best memorization it can possible. If you get to that point, that means that you're really prioritizing the thing. If you're not prioritizing the thing, then it's going to be hard to get good at it with anything in life. Oh yeah.
Next question. Hola amigo, ¿cómo está?
¿Cómo estamos? ¿Cómo estamos?
I just had one question, brother. Was there a point, whether it was a day, a week, a month, where you felt like, okay, I understand the language now, I'm comfortable to, or was it kind of like brick by brick?
So I remember a particular khutbah in Alexandria where I was learning Arabic in about 2012, where I met the brother Hanif. We were there in Egypt together. And I went to the khutbah, and after the khutbah I was like, wait, I actually understood like 80% of it. And I was able to recall everything the Sheikh said and what he was talking about and so on. And of course there was a small percentage, 20% or so that I didn't understand. But I remember that khutbah as that turning point where I was like, wow, I actually understand now. And of course the Arabic language is a thing that is very difficult for a lot of people to finish. Many start, but many don't finish. And the reason is because it takes time. And these are the things that you need to master, the art of delayed gratification. You need to be able to tell to yourself and live on this principle that it's not the day that I plant the seed that I'm going to collect the fruit. So you need to be able to do boring things for as long as possible without any immediate result in order for you to actually start seeing results. So for the Arabic language is that. And like many other things, there's, if I were to draw it in a graph, in the beginning, the first 3-4 months is a big spike of progress. But then you get to a plateau, and it lasts for a few months, where you're going to feel like you're not progressing. But you are indeed progressing. And I've seen this amongst many people. In that plateau, it will determine if the person stays and continues to know the Arabic language, if they're able to pass that, or if they drop out and the next time they start again from that spike, get to the plateau. And if they don't continue, then they start next time, same thing, and they never end up learning. So it's something gradual, and it's something that it will take time. And if you are able to live with this foundation and this rule of it's not the day that I plant the seed that I'm going to collect the fruit, and you are able to be bored for a long time and just trust in the process, inshallah, you're gonna start seeing results very quickly.
You talked about the nafs and the intellect. What were your strategies personally in controlling the nafs and allowing the intellect in order to do what you had to do?
Mm-hmm.
How did you not allow the nafs to overpower the intellect?
You have to do a lot of pondering. And again, it's going to be an ongoing struggle. That's the point. That's what life is about, and that's what we are here to do. But you have to do a lot of pondering and be what they call nowadays self-aware. And that comes from pondering. And the Salaf, they used to be very big on al-uzla. And matter of fact, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to do ta'abbud, go to Kahf, Hira, and do ta'abbud, go to the cave and be among himself and think and ponder, and likewise Surah Maryam. That's why it mentions that Maryam used to get away from people and she used to do ta'abbud. That's when Allah Azza wa Jal, or that's when she gave birth. So this is known from the stories of the prophets that you read in the Qur'an, and likewise from the Salaf. They used to look at al-uzla and pondering at tafakkur as a principle to live by. To the point where Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said, tafakkurun fi sa'a khayrun min qiyam al-layl, that to ponder, reflect for 1 hour is better than pray the whole night. Why? Because when you think and you ponder where I'm at, am I doing the things on a day-to-day basis that will lead me where I want to be? Am I doing enough? Is there something in my life that I have to perhaps change? Is a ongoing optimization of your life in order for you to continue to optimize and become better. And so when you live your life like that, and when you live your life like that, with that principle, you start increasing in self-awareness. So every time you say something, every time you do something, every time you engage on doing something new, you are going to be very aware. Many people, they are not self-aware. And an example of that is somebody, you tell them, hey, what do you think about coming, every afternoon you come to my house and we do this. Yeah, okay. He doesn't have okay, let me think, wait, what am I trying to achieve? Does this align with this year? Where actually, give me a couple of days, I will think about it. I will sit with myself, I will see where I'm at, I will talk to my family. That's what being self-aware is. Many people, they're just happy for no reason. They're all hype for whatever reason. They don't have any sense of a plan, or strategy. So being self-aware is what will allow you to be able to control your nafs as much as possible. And you will see that you will think more than you speak. You will think before taking decisions. You will actually go and do salat istikhara. You will talk to people, search a little bit. No, that's what I would say.
So I'll have time for one more question. One more question? Everyone wants to take that? All right, inshallah. With that, we will conclude. We have one more question? Yeah, another one? All right, last question.
For starting, on a structured base, would you recommend the Arabiya Bain al-Yaday first or Medina books? What would be the first book to study on this topic?
No. I would say first of all, I would say there is more lust in indecision than in the wrong decision. So if you were right now, as you get home, all of a sudden starting going over Medina books and actually stuck to it, that would be the right decision. Even if hypothetically it's the wrong decision. If you were to do the opposite, same thing. So many people, they get very caught on indecision. Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Maybe you know what? There's a friend that's coming from Egypt in 2 weeks. I'm just gonna wait for him to come. Oh, if he lost the flight, he's actually coming next month. Khalas, I'm just gonna wait for him. Meanwhile, I'm going to perhaps just browse through I don't know how many videos on YouTube and then try and like write a list of pros and cons and they never start. So there is more lust in indecision than the wrong decision. That's first thing. Second thing I would say from a more technical experience. First of all, I have never studied the Medina books. I was, honored enough to meet both authors of both books, and I know the content of the Medina books. And I would say, from my humble, miskeen opinion, that the Medina books is very grammar dense, and it might not be the best for a beginner student. As for Al-Arabiya bin Yadayk, is the book that I actually used to learn the Arabic language myself. I found it very beneficial. I found it very efficient, even from a student perspective, from a teacher perspective. And so that's what I will go with a book that is highly, very vocabulary acquisition based. That's what I would say. And of course, we have Kashf al-Mufradat, hopefully soon coming up, and being next to these two books, which is a book that we Andalus Institute authored, and is very similar to Al-Arabiya bin Yadayk, but of course it's made by طلاب علم and students of knowledge who have experienced it and who actually have learned from scratch, which is a different experience than the average sheikh. And actually, from the two authors of Medina books and Al-Arabiya bin Yadayk books, if you go and watch the interview on YouTube that I have with them, both of them agreed that a teacher who learned Arabic from scratch is better than a native speaker teacher, because he has actually gone through the experience. So that's my biased opinion about Kashf al-Mufradat, and I hope that Allah give you tawfiq in whatever decision you take to start.